Well, 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 would you look at that? I'm live. It's been a while. It has certainly been a hot minute since I've done this. Actually, I don't think I've done a proper live stream since the Lonesome Ghosts. I wanted to say CD release party, but a single release party. That's the more accurate description. But yeah, it's weird to be back. Trying to take this week off, not work too hard. Whether or not I've been actually successful in that endeavor is well, that remains to be seen. But yeah, I'm jumping on here because well, it's the end of the year and of the 12 songs in 12 months project, and I just thought that I would give you all one last chance to ensure that you get your hands on the super limited edition copy of the record. So, as all of you know, the way that this whole project worked was that we were supposed to, like unlock songs every month by, getting more Patreon supporters, and that was sort of the the way that it was meant to be. But because you guys are all so awesome, we actually hit the year's goal of Patreon supporters within like 3 months or something like that. So we didn't need to really unlock any singles at all, which is a great problem to have. But I had no real reason to talk about Patreon this year, which is funny. But because this project was entirely funded by my Patreon supporters, I figured that it's only fair that they get first dibs on physical copies of the record. And I also thought that it would be pretty cool if I printed exactly as many CDs as I have Patreon supporters. So I think I currently have 670 Patreon supporters. If tomorrow night at midnight I have 680 Patreon supporters, I will be printing 680 CDs. And they will be made available in the Imperfect Society section of the Aesthetic Perfection web store, both in the US and in Europe. And that pre-sale will go for 4 weeks. And at the end of those 4 weeks, whatever is left over, that will be made available to the general public. So I suspect that these CDs will be sold out, and they may not ever go on sale to the general public. So if you want to ensure that a copy is reserved with your name on it, just go to Imperfect Society, Imperfect-Society, if I can spell, perfect-society.net. That's it. Oh, no, it's not it because I misspelled it. See? Imperfect-society.net. Probably got to put an HTTP in there too. Boom. And that's it. That's really all I got. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up and let you guys know that if you want to get a copy of the limited edition release of the 12 songs that I released in 2021, you can totally do it. All you got to do is become a member of the Imperfect Society. Boom. Done. Dusted. That's all I got. All right. Let's see the chat. Hello, everybody. Ah, yes. Cheers. Of course, cheers. Hello, what do you think about Paradise Lost? If there's a song that you will cover. I can't say that I'm familiar with any Paradise Lost songs at all. Maybe I've heard them, but if my life depended on it, I couldn't name a song. Now, that's no insult to the band. I'm just not personally familiar with them. Is it just me, or is the volume really low? My volume looks pretty good. I hope it's all right. Should I talk low? Should I talk closer to the microphone? Like this? Do I see a close to human sticker on your desk? Yes, you do. That is the Potter Guy sticker right there. As you can see, I cleaned up the studio a bit. For the last couple of months, it has been a total disaster area in here, and it's really wearing on my mental health. At first, I kind of like enjoyed the chaos. I felt like the chaos was a little bit inspiring because, you just sort of came in here without feeling like everything was in its right place. And, the chaos can be a bit creative, but after a while, it just started like really depressing me and I didn't want to come in here at all. So I've spent the last couple of days like really trying to optimize. One of my palette from LA arrived, and so I got a lot of my books and a lot of my ceramic cats and decorations and stuff like that, and trying to spend the week organizing that stuff, integrating it into the current setup, and I'm not done, but I feel like this looks a lot better than it did, just a couple of days ago. Hi, Daniel. What comes next? Do I have to know what comes next? Oh man, like the last single hasn't even been out for a month yet, and y'all are wondering what's next on the agenda. To be honest, I really don't know. Aside from the release of the album, which I will reveal the name of the album probably sometime early next year. I think maybe when I go public with the pre-order. Yeah. I think beyond that, beyond the release of the physical copies of this year's sort of project, I don't really know. And I think that's okay. It's okay not to know. It's okay not to have a plan. Do you ever look back at your old songs and think that you could have done better? Of course I do. I look at a song that I released a couple of weeks ago, Lonesome Ghost. There are so many things that I would have done to change that, but art really is about doing the best that you can in the moment and not trying to overthink it, not trying to achieve perfection, because perfection is, it's a myth. And that's kind of what the whole philosophy of the name aesthetic perfection is about, right? Like there is no such thing as aesthetic perfection. It's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's not a thing that actually exists. So I certainly go back to some of my old songs and wring my hands a bit and go, ooh, that could have been better. But I've discussed this many, many times before. The songs that I actually go back to and think, that's pretty perfect, I couldn't have done that any better, are songs that nobody ends up liking, which is a really, really interesting sort of irony, right? So take Ebb and Flow, for example, or Supernatural. Like these are two songs where I personally believed were perfect. And even when I listen to them now, I'm like, nope, couldn't have changed a note in those songs and made them any better or perfected them any further. So the fact that those songs were complete and utter failures, it's like it's an interesting irony. So as an artist, you don't really get to choose how the world sees you or what the world values in your work. All you can do is create it to the best of your ability in that moment and release it into the world and move on. So try not to spend too much time looking towards the past. I'd much rather stay focused on the future. And we've got a new year coming up. I think that's a pretty optimistic perspective. Is this where you record your vocals? Yeah, I do everything in here. Yeah, why not? It's not perfect. I live in an old stone farmhouse, and so the walls tend to reverberate a lot. Doesn't really pose too much of a problem as long as you're not like singing really loud or screaming really loud, which I obviously do sometimes. But it's just sort of the character of the room that I'm in. You make the best of the situation that you're in. That said, I've worked to make this room as sort of dead as possible. I've got the carpet, I've got the drapes. You can't see them, but I've got some bass traps up in the corners here. I've actually got on the other side of the door, I've got like a large sound panel, and I've managed to get the room pretty acceptable in terms of in terms of like the amount of echo that I'm willing to tolerate when recording. So. Are you your own band manager and sales rep? Of course I'm my own sales rep. Look at me here on the interwebs in the middle of the holidays trying to get you to buy my record. That's dedication. I'm the sales rep that will work on holidays for myself. In all seriousness, yeah, I used to work with labels. I used to work with managers and all that kind of stuff. But I sort of reached a point where I realized that nobody is going to care about my music the way that I do. Nobody's going to work as hard for it as I will. So I kind of came to the conclusion that I would much rather do the work myself and bear. Oh, come on! You got rid of the chat, cat. Come on. There. Are we gonna settle? Very good. Sort of came to the conclusion that I wanted to carry all the risk myself. I wanted to, make sure that everything that was invested in this project is my own. You grow to a certain point where, you need to have like employees, you need to have assistants and, maybe not a label, but, distributor, manager, all that kind of stuff. But I don't think that any band that's in this scene needs that. Like you need to be a band that is selling, tens of thousands of records, selling tens of thousands of concert tickets, selling out at least theaters, 2,000 to 3,000 people a night. Like that's when you need a manager. Did you eat too fast? It's burping. I think you ate too fast, didn't you? Gross. You're gross. That's when you need a manager. Nobody in this scene needs a manager. You can do this all yourself. A manager is just an expense. Somebody who doesn't care as much about your work as you do and wants to take a huge percent of the money. As someone who has been out of touch, how to get my hands on this record. As I said when I started, what I'm doing, because this whole project was funded by my Patreon supporters, I'm going to print exactly as many CDs as I have Patreon supporters tomorrow. So I'm going to count all of the Patreon supporters that I have tomorrow, and I'm going to print that many CDs. Probably late January, early February, I will begin a 4-week-long pre-order where Patreon supporters have the chance to get first dibs on that record. They can place pre-orders, and whatever's left over after 4 weeks will be made available to the general public. Obviously, not every Patreon supporter cares about having a CD. Maybe. I don't know. Possibly. We're just going to have to wait and see. The thing is that it just doesn't make any financial sense these days to print thousands and thousands of CDs that are just going to sit in a warehouse and gather dust, especially when you can't go on tour. So, I think as a sort of a thank you to my Patreon supporters, as a sort of recognition of how this project is as much theirs as it is mine, I felt like this was the most appropriate way to make this CD come out, because without them, I probably would never have done this project, and I certainly never would have been able to release it as a physical product. Roz, always dropping money in the super chat. That's not necessary, but thank you very much. Is there a max number we can pre-order? I don't know. I got to think about it. A part of me says that I want to limit it to just one per customer, because obviously if there are 680 Patreon supporters and I print 680 CDs, I don't want to make it so you guys can order 3 or 4 CDs and then sort of take it out of the hands of another supporter. Like, I really want to make sure that everybody has their chance to get one if that's what they want. So I may limit it to 1. I may limit it to 2. Maybe next week on Patreon, we'll take like a poll. We'll have a little discussion, and you guys can, because Patreon allows me to do polls and votes and stuff. Maybe we'll take a poll and see how many Patreon supporters are actually interested in getting a copy for themselves. And if, let's say more than half are like, nah, I'm good, then I'll make the limit 2. I think that's the best way to do it. So I just sort of like talked through that, but I think that's the best way to do it. We'll have a longer conversation on Patreon about it, but I think that's a pretty reasonable way forward. Elodia dropping rubles in the chat. Thank you very much. Guys, you're already Patreon supporters. You're already contributing to Aesthetic Perfection and more music. It's very kind of you. Thank you. K it. You can sign up on Patreon for as little as $2. That's true. And actually, what's really cool is that last year Patreon started annual subscriptions, because I understand that a lot of people are a little bit wary of signing up for kind of like a monthly subscription. Like, I totally get that. Some people have said, oh, how can I just, throw $20 your way? Well, Patreon offers annual subscriptions, and if you sign up with an annual subscription, you get, 10% off for the whole year. So, if you sign up for one whole year, it's something like $20, and then it's done and dusted, and you don't have to worry about it ever again. And I think that is really sort of the best way to support your favorite artists these days. I mean, that's just my opinion, but it feels much less like a handout or, some sort of charity type situation. Rather, it's a community where people support me in order to ensure that I'm able to keep creating music, but also get really dope rewards in return. Stuff like personalized jingles, handwritten lyrics, exclusive live streams, watch me work live streams, chatting live streams, all this kind of stuff. And access to the super secret Imperfect Society merch line with a whole bunch of merchandise that, regular people can't get. But I thought it was really important to create my own merch line so that you guys could find each other at shows and connect in real life. I mean, not right now, but in the past, and hopefully again in the future. For people who can't afford to be a patron, is this going to be available as a digital album? It is already available as a digital album. All of my music is free on Bandcamp. It's all pay what you want. So you can go to the Aesthetic Perfection Bandcamp, download all of these songs for nothing. I've always been a huge advocate of making access to music barrierless. I don't think that people should be restricted from enjoying music based on their income level. I've always felt like the music that I create belongs to everybody. And if you are struggling right now, if you don't have $2 or $20 or whatever it is, you can go to my Bandcamp, take my music for free. Totally cool with it. Don't feel bad at all. If you want to help me in any other way, then just subscribe to me on YouTube here, or subscribe to my Spotify, or click follow, or whatever the term is over there. I just like throwing money at you, Daniel. Deal with it. I guess I will have to deal with it. So thank you guys. Cheers to that. So, is there a name on every CD? Are they signed? This time around, due to restrictions of space, we are unable to print the patrons' names in the liner notes, and because of location, I cannot sign them because they're going to be manufactured in the US. I live here in Europe, and I will not be able to sign them. However, obviously, if you come find me in real life, I will happily sign it. Just consider it a rain check on a signature. Is there a link to the pre-orders right now? Sorry, I'm coming in late. I'm already a patron. No, the link has not gone live yet. I'm just giving everybody, who is not already a patron, a heads up, letting them know that tomorrow is their last chance to sign up, because as of tomorrow, the number of patrons that I have is the number of CDs that I will press. The pre-order link is going to go live sometime, I want to say like late January, early February. We're just now finishing up all the final artwork, and then I got to place an order. CDs should take about 3 to 4 months to create. Vinyl is going to be 13 months. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to actually make that a pre-order right now, or if I just make it a pre-order when the time comes. So something along the lines of, I order the vinyl now, and then when I actually get it, then the pre-order for the vinyl begins. Because I don't know, having pre-orders for a year, that just sucks. It's not fun. You don't want to wait a year for something. Lame. Spooky Cat Michaels, throw money in the super chat. Teardrop also for Mara. Oh, that's kind. Thank you very much, guys. Again, if you want to support me, in a reciprocal way where I can actually give something back to you, join the Imperfect Society. I'll drop the link again in the chat. Perfect-society.net. We'll give it a little bit of the HTTP in there too. Did it work? Oh, it worked. Oh, yeah, and Elodia right there. Dropping the link right after me. But the patrons will be listed in the booklet. No, because of the space. Because of the space. Because I've got all of the artwork from all of the 12 singles. There's a limitation on the size of the booklet, because all the artwork is in there and all of the lyrics and everything. I don't have room to print almost 700 additional names. I know. It sucks, but if you guys want, what I'll do is I'll do a live stream and I'll shout out each and every one of your names the day the album drops. That's a fun idea. Maybe we'll do that. Are you going to leave the output order of the songs? So will the songs be arranged in the order that they were released? Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought a lot about this, about whether or not I wanted to sort of mess with the flow and feel and vibe of the record, but honestly, I think that it needs to stay as it was. I'm sure I could arrange the songs in an order that is better, in a way that flows more smoothly, but I think that what this record is a representation of the year. It's a representation of this project, and it needs to be it needs to be that, warts and all. So yeah, I've decided to leave everything as it is. Yeah, I'm like the gears are turning, and I'm like trying to think of all the different ways of doing it, but there's so many permutations of it. But it's just, I feel like this project just needs to stand on its own for what it is, so that, when we look back on it, we get to have like our memories sort of activated by each song, and what we felt, where we were, how it all sort of came to pass. I feel like that's super important. Norwegian Forest Cat has lost all her shyness. She's been oh, yes, look at the camera. Look at them. They love you so. Your ears are cold. Yeah, she seems to have gotten over a little bit of her camera shyness, which is a good thing. And she lets me like really dig into her skull when I scratch it. Yeah, listing 700 names will be a long live stream. No, I think I can. I've said way more than 700 words here. I think I can say 700 names in probably like 5 minutes. It'd be super easy. And we have hit 680 patrons now. Yes, that is awesome. Now, it'd be crazy if we hit 700, but I don't know if we'll get 20 new supporters in the next 24 hours. I dare you. Oh, God. This K it. Hi, Daniel. Greetings from Germany. Greetings from Austria to DJing Cobra. Cute Frankenstein album. Yeah, wait till you see the artwork. The artwork is horrifying, but I actually think it might be my favorite artwork like ever. It's grotesque in the best way. What I showed you guys on Patreon, like my idea, is just not even close to what it ended up being. Just signed up. Oh, thank you so much, Mod 20087. I dare you all to become Daniel's patrons. Yes. I promise you're going to love it. Our community's great. The first hit's free. And then you're mine forever. But will there be a hidden track if you reverse the track where Daniel's singing all the Patreon names in an Austrian accent? Yes, that would be hilarious. I don't even know how to do an Austrian accent, like, when I try. Apparently I just have it. Gruesome, count me in. All right, Spooky Cat, there you go. Ooh, that's in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. But I do have a nice cat. It's very, very good. It was funny, like right before I started this live stream, she was sleeping in my chair. And I was like, how am I going to start this live stream with her in here? So I actually lined up the camera so that the cat would be like front and center. So I was just going to start the live stream and have Mara sleeping in the chair here. But she got up and left. And then, of course, she came right back after she heard me talking, because I feel like every time she hears my voice, she knows that I'm, because I don't talk this much in here when I'm alone. So whenever she hears my voice, she knows I'm live streaming. What's in store for 2022 patrons? 12 new songs. Uh, if you want to kill me, yeah. um, I've talked about this a little bit. Not even a little bit. I've talked about this at length on Patreon, kind of where my sort of artistic intuition is leading me at the moment. I get pulled in a lot of different directions, you know, because this project was so special for so many reasons because, you know, I feel like it helped me grow as a creator much more than any other sort of undertaking that I've done in my whole career. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what it means to be a professional artist, what it means to have thick skin, what it means to not get stuck in your own head, just to sort of like enjoy creating and to know how to let go. I mean, these were all just incredibly important parts of this year's project, and I'm like eternally grateful for them. But it was also really, really taxing, you know, in terms of my, like, it was emotionally taxing. It was physically taxing. It was just, I don't know. It was a lot more difficult than even I had anticipated. And I feel like by the end there, I was getting really, really worn out and really, really depressed. And then when it was done, like, instead of feeling happy, I just felt depressed because I didn't really know what to do. I felt like I didn't have that sort of drive or purpose. You know, when you get up in the morning, you're like, okay, now I got to do this. Now I got to do that. Now I got to do this. Now it's just sort of like, now what do I do? I mean, it's not like there's any shortage of things to do, but there's a noticeable difference when you don't have the ticking clock, right? And then I've lived that way for a year. And so I feel like my brain is almost broken because it's now hardwired to expect that kind of like drama or intensity, I guess, from every single day. So it's a big change, and it's a challenge to try to like come back down and go back to normal and to think about what's next, because some part of me was almost like, am I done with aesthetic perfection? Am I done with have I done everything that I can do with this project? Especially because I felt so like creatively dry and empty, and I still feel that way, right? Like when I come in here and if I'm sitting down to like produce, or it's just, I can't do it. I have no interest in producing right now. But I haven't totally lost the creative spark. That's kind of coming back a little bit. But I certainly will never do this ever again. No fucking way. Beautiful Kiet, you're so bitey. Why do you bite? Everybody thinks that you're sweet, but you're just mean. And you have bad breath. It's got bad breath. So next year, take it up to a song every week. Yeah, if you want me to take a long walk off a short pier, could be. No way I could ever do that ever again. And it's easy to write a song, but it's like, how do you make a good idea into something that translates, that makes sense? You know, that's the hardest part. Like great ideas are a dime a dozen, but taking those ideas to a place where they're finished and coherent and cogent and all that kind of stuff, it's yeah. That's where the perspiration comes in. What do they say? It's like creativity is 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. That's where the rest comes in. Ah, the ticking clock that just keeps going. Yeah, it's nice sometimes, but then other times it's just soul crushing. Why can't they see how ugly you are? Okay, it. Um, I've heard from multiple creators that it's hard to let it go. Um, so they have a lot of unfinished stuff that they think is not polished, but is actually very good. I mean, look, I've probably got 1,000 songs that I've never finished or released. That's just part of the process, right? um, but that's why you have a vault. You have something to dip into and to consult if you feel uninspired or anything like that. I think the vault is great. But when I look at sort of what was happening during the first year of the pandemic, at least for me, I just wasn't getting all that much done. I was like writing all the time. I was working all the time, but I was spending like an inordinate amount of time trying to like make stuff perfect. And I would just be like, oh, well, I don't know what to do with this song, so I'm just going to put it down for today. And then, you come back like 2 or 3 weeks later, and you're like, yeah, I'm not inspired. I'm just going to do something else. And you just end up farting around and not finishing anything. Because I didn't have a reason to. And I think a lot of people sort of have this problem, which is why I needed for myself to embark on this project, because I needed to give myself a reason to release something. I needed to hold myself accountable, right? And ironically, like almost none of those songs that I like sat around working on for ages that are like half finished, like none of those ever even came out. I just basically started songs from scratch and just went really quickly because I didn't want to give myself time to second guess myself. I just sort of like trusted my intuition and did it, which is great because, I produced some of my favorite songs that I've ever done, even if they weren't quote unquote hits. Like I feel like personally, Automaton, Dead Zone, Happy Face, and Bark at the Moon are like really some of the best produced, most well-written songs of my whole career, and I did those in just a couple of weeks. So, it doesn't really matter if the world agrees because they're wrong. But that's really what it's about. It's about starting an idea and following it through to the end. Yeah, I have a lot of other songs that I started this year that I didn't finish, but this is the most productive I've ever been, ever. And I've been a professional musician for 15 years, and I've been a musician for 25 years. So it's a really exciting moment because it means that the well never really does dry up. There's always something to say. There's a new road to explore. It's always something to do. Does joining the Imperfect Society mean becoming a Patreon supporter? Yes, it does. So if you go to imperfect-society.net, it will redirect you to the Patreon page. And if you sign up there, it doesn't matter if you're at the lowest tier or the highest tier, you get a whole bunch of awesome perks and you get first dibs on the new record. You're about the best in the world when it comes to remixing other bands. Please continue with that. I'm considering giving up remixing. it's, it's too much work. So much work. I like doing it, but it's like, I put so much time and energy into it. It's like writing my own song. And I'm getting to the point where I don't feel like I have the bandwidth to do it. So, I mean, I'm still going to do it. I just finished a remix that I'm really, really happy with. But I'm going to do it a lot less. There was a time when I was just like taking on every remix that I could possibly get just because I needed the money and I wanted a reason to produce. But I think now that I'm just like so burned out, I only want to work on projects that I'm like truly excited about. Maybe it'll change in the future, but for now, I'm going to sort of like slow all that stuff down. But I'm glad you like the remixes. They're always an exciting challenge. I really do hope that we get to hear some of those other songs that you worked on in the year. I'm sure you will. I mean, some of them are quite good. Other ones are god awful. So you'll probably hear the good ones. The awful ones, probably not. But you guys on Patreon, you've heard so many unreleased songs this year. There's what have you guys heard? Snow White. You've heard Indestructible. You've heard Drag Me Down. You've heard Icy Spirits. I mean, there's so many songs that you guys have heard this year. And like, I don't know, like for some reason I feel like letting you hear those songs, you'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense that those songs never came out. But so many of you are clamoring for them. And I'm over here thinking, I don't want to finish these songs. Yeah, see, I don't even need to give you guys the sales pitch. We've got Roz and Elodie over here. You get awesome perks like early access to music videos and releases, monthly live streams, personal jingles, handwritten lyrics, and also the community is the best. Trust me on that. I am one of them. Oh, I left a lot of them before. See, she stuck around. I'm just going to let you guys do all my ads for now on. You're way better than me at this. Oh, I did the thing. I'm saving up to visit Europe for VGT. I might upgrade my membership later. Well, thank you very much for joining the community. If you go to VGT, come say hi. I'll be there. I'll sign your CD. Since I can't sign them beforehand, I'll sign your CD. So just come find me at VGT. I'll be at the cocktail bar at Moritzbastei. Snow White Past Lives was just faints. I wish it was that good. Look at that. I'm subbed on Patreon and on Bandcamp. I don't do Spotify. And any way that I can throw my money at Daniel and hear his work. Well, thank you very much. You don't need to be on Spotify if you're on all those other platforms. Look, I know that I'm a broken record when it comes to streaming. It's just because I think that streaming is great for artists in the sense that they can continuously earn money forever instead of just getting like one sale at a time. But that's also one of the great things about Patreon, right? Like it is a constant stream of income for an artist to basically make sure that they are able to keep creating. When it comes to other things like Bandcamp or buying CDs or whatever, it's like however you want to support. I'm over the moon about, right? I'm so grateful to have people that care about my music and want to support it in any way. So I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody which way is the best way, because there is no best way. Like, the way that artists like myself survive is through multiple channels and people supporting on Bandcamp, on Spotify, on Patreon, buying merchandise in the stores. Like, this is how an artist like myself survives. There's no one thing. And so however you choose to support me, I appreciate it. Yeah, so my sort of situation regarding touring has not changed. We're still in the midst of uncertain times. Obviously, things look to be getting, I don't want to say better, but, the future looks a little bit more optimistic than it did this time last year. Everybody knows that I feel much more comfortable in the studio than I do on the stage. But I do feel a little bit of a hankering to get back out there again. But it's just, there's so many factors. And I think I'm just not, I'm not itching to be an early adopter of the post-COVID touring world, because there's so much money on the line. There's so many X factors, so many black boxes. Like, what I think a lot of people don't seem to realize is that, especially now with a variant that just basically evades all vaccines, is like, if somebody in your touring crew gets sick, which they will at this point, your tour shuts down, or it gets put on hold. How many days is that going to take? Who knows? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you're out on the road with 10 or 15 people that need to be fed, need shelter, need to be driven from one place to another, they need bathrooms and running water and all that kind of stuff. What happens when the tour has no more income for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days? You're talking tens of thousands of dollars that will be lost. A band like mine can't absorb that. I know that larger bands have done this. I know that larger bands are, of course, cleverly, they're touring with sort of pinch hitters, right? They're touring with backup bands, so that when somebody gets sick, they've always got like a skeleton crew or a backup performer who can saddle up and make the show happen. A band like Aesthetic Perfection can't do that. Korn can do that. Slipknot can do that. I can't. So I'm just trying to focus on the things that I can do as opposed to the things that I can't do. So will I tour again? Absolutely. Am I in talks about possible touring options? Of course. Am I particularly confident? Nah. I've had access to the Discord server for a while. Is the Patreon access to a channel on the Discord server? Yeah. Elodia and Roz can help you with that. You just got to connect your Discord to your Patreon and you will be on your way. Right now, live tours are just too risky in too many ways. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I already lost so much money with the Lords of Acid tour. That one hurt. I'm in any rush to do that again. All right, guys. I think that's about it for me. I'm going to sign off and try to enjoy my final night in 2021. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, your evening, your morning, whatever it is, wherever you are. Like I said, if you are interested in getting your hands on a copy of the super limited edition physical release of the 12 Songs in 12 Months project, which will be coming out probably second half or first half of 2022, then please consider joining the Imperfect Society. I will drop the link in the chat just there again for your convenience. Oh, look at that. We've got Elodia doing it for me. Thanks so much. I hope you all have a lovely New Year's Eve tomorrow. Good slide into the new year. Guten Rutsch ins neue Jahr, and we'll see each other on the other side. All right. You all take care. Happy New Year from myself, from Mara. Extra special thanks to my Patreon supporters for making the 12 Songs in 12 Months project so much more of a success than I could have ever possibly dreamed of. Yeah. This is it. This is the last live stream of 2021. Thank you all so much for putting up with me this year. I promise you I will be just as annoying next year. Bye, guys.